You know, they claim
Nice.
you can scrape it.
Good words. Kelly, comment.
Okay, we will get started and hopefully everybody got a little chance to visit HHS. We welcome you to the courthouse again. You've been very flexible in your department and we appreciate that. This is the 1, 2, 3, third, fourth move since I've been. Thank you. But welcome here, and I think everything worked out great. Then we're going to use interactive television technology today. Pine County Commissioner Matt Ludwig and Commissioner J.J. Waldham will be attending the Pine County Board of Commissioners regular meeting today via interactive technology pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D-02. Ludwig will be seen and heard at the meeting by an electronic means and will participate from State Bridge 2350, Commerce Drive, Northwest Rochester, Minnesota. The location open and accessible to the public. Commissioner Waldham will be seen and heard at the meeting via electronic means and participate from 904 Cali Cruz Rojo Barrio, Puerto Rico, basically. If anybody's down there, you can go look them up. Anyway, the public is invited to join the meeting in person or remotely. And we enjoy you dialing in. With that, we will call the meeting to order and rise for the pledge. Flag of the United States of America. To the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all.
Public forum. We've got a couple of people on a call in. Ryan, we've got anybody raising their hand? Anybody here? If not, we will move on to the agenda. The additions or corrections.
Mr. Chair, we have some additional information for regular agenda item number 3, the joint powers agreement with the East Central Regional Juvenile Center. So in your packet were exhibits B, C, D, and E. And then the additional information is the actual joint powers agreement and exhibit A. And so at that agenda item, the request will be to review and approve the joint powers agreement and the specific agreement in Appendix B or Exhibit B.
Okay. Anything else? If not, we'll look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Lovegren, seconded by Moore. Any discussion? If not, Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren. Aye. District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig. District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
We'll look for approval of the minutes of the September 21st County Board meeting and summary for publication.
I'll move them.
I will second.
Got a motion by Moore, seconded by Lovegren to approve the minutes. Any discussion? Not. Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren.
Minutes of boards, reports, and correspondence. We got the land surveyor's monthly report for September And a letter from Vern Balvoda, dated September 3rd. Pine County Zoning Board minutes, August 26th, and Minnesota Public Utilities Commission order approving a rate increase and granting variance dated September 24th.
Ludwig will move.
Got a motion by Ludwig, seconded by Lovegren. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm trying to slip one by you, Debbie. You want to call the roll?
I will do that. District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren. District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
Thank you.
Then we'll take the consent agenda. You've had that in front of you for several days.
I will make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Lovegren, seconded by Moore to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? If not, Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
Thank you.
We'll move on to our regular agenda, and the first thing is Mindy. I'll let you can sit for a second, but we don't do this to embarrass you. We do this because we're proud of the job you've been doing, and it's kind of a rarity in today's society that somebody takes the time to sit down and write a letter of thanks to a public official. And so I truly appreciate the work you've done. And did you see the letter? Yeah, I won't read it here, but I think that letter exemplifies what you do on a daily basis. I have heard from several people, and it's really a pleasure to be a county commissioner and hear positive feedback on the people that we know are doing a wonderful job. And we just wanted to give a shout out to you and thanks for your service. And not that we expect any more out of you than you've already been doing, but we do appreciate it. And I think the other thing that we all recognize is that we have a tremendous amount of vets in our county population, almost 10%. I think it's about 9 actually of our county population are vets. And so that's a big service area. And sometimes we're hard people to please. It's confusing, VA administration sometimes to get to the right spot. I will say one thing as a recipient of the VA care, there is no better healthcare system in America, and I've been through a lot of them, than the VA. I've told people when you go to the VA in Minneapolis or St. Cloud, they must have a huddle every morning that says, if we ever hear that you weren't kind to somebody, you can't work here anymore. It's an amazing, and it starts with you and it goes to the guy sweeping the hall in St. Cloud. So, thank you.
Can I add to that, Mr.
Yes,
Chair?
you sure
You
can.
know, Ed, he just said that you do an extraordinary job, and he said it's my pleasure, and that's the difference. Your pleasure is to serve the people, and we appreciate you so much. That's what we should all be doing here, is to be serving the people with that heart. And so, Mindy, I've heard so many amazing things about you. I'm just so excited that you applied and that you got the job. it was a cheering going on in my office when you did that. So I'm just glad that thank you so much. And it's your heart that makes a difference. I really appreciate it.
Anybody else? I will have you come up and maybe somebody can take a little picture because it's kind of near to my heart.
No, I do not.
So I've been told I have to introduce myself before I speak. So my name is Becky Foss. I'm the Director of Pine County Health and Human Services. Mindy does a phenomenal job. It is so fun to be at the North Pine Government Center for other purposes, but to see her visiting with vets and to see her bringing in guest speakers to help people navigate that complex system, we are so lucky to have her. She does amazing work, and thank you, Mindy.
Yes, thank you.
Before we leave we've got a couple more recognitions that apparently in the newspapers around the county, there was a way to pick out the best places to work and the best people. But anyway, a finalist for the best place to work was Pine County Health and Human Services. And in the community, the best public servant, one of the three. That
I'll just add to the previous conversation. So that was such an honor. I'm just humbled and honored. It is a joy to work in Pine County, to serve at the pleasure of the board and to serve the people. It's a wonderful place to work, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. But I also think those awards are wonderful staff we have here in Pine County. They're amazing and they serve with heart. So I'm a very lucky person to work here and to have such an amazing group.
Thanks.
Thanks, Becky.
We're gonna continue with our recognitions because apparently October is manufacturing month, and we have a resolution to consider 2021-67 declaring the month of October as manufacturing month in Pine County.
Hi, I'm Leslie Sauter, your Economic Development Coordinator. And yeah, we have a resolution in front of you to proclaim October as Manufacturing Month with some statistics about manufacturing in Pine County. Out of the 7,200 total jobs, manufacturing represents about 300 jobs in the county. In the state, it's the second largest employer. In our county, it's the third. The wages are about 23% higher than our average wage in the county, falling at about $46,300 per year. Our average wage is about $37,000 per year. In 2020, when we saw a lot of people being unemployed, that sector added 50 jobs right here in Pine County. So this resolution is just to kind of note what they provide, because I think they're quiet in the background. You don't realize the gems that we have hidden in our small communities that provide these good living local jobs. And you can get your training right at Pine Tech. So you can just stay right here. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So we'd be looking for a motion for this resolution.
Ludwig will move 2021-67.
Lovegren, second.
Got a motion by Ludwig, second by Lovegren, to declare October as manufacturing month in Pine County. Any discussion? Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren. District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the joint powers with the East Central Regional Juvenile Center. Terry, you gonna what's the lowdown? I started reading all this stuff and I thought, Terry will explain it to us.
I wish you would have read it. It's complicated. But, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. As you recall, about a month or so ago, I gave a presentation on where we are at with the joint powers agreement on considering whether we would, Pine County would remain a member, go down half a bed, or get out entirely. The timing for this request today is we just had an incident on Friday night where the county attorney's office has now filed a motion for certification of a 17-year-old juvenile. I won't get into the details, but it is a presumptive commit to the Commissioner of Corrections. But it takes a while until that happens, where the juvenile would sit in that facility for a while until we get to jail. Just an example, I ran into the Commissioner Ludwig and Sandstone on Friday evening. We talked about that again, about just takes one, and shows the value of needing secure detention in a place where you can law enforcement easily lodge a kid if necessary. So this is a sad example, but an example nonetheless of why that facility is needed. The recommendation today had additional information on it, and the reason it's confusing is there used to be 9 members in this joint powers agreement. There's now going to be 11. Stearns and Benton are signing on. That's a good thing. The previous superintendent retired kind of late in 2020. So the director of another county has been kind of leading this effort, and it's kind of been a little bit disjointed, but now we're kind of getting full documents and contracts at different times. But the recommendation today would be to consider approval of Pine County remain a member of the East Central Juvenile Center Joint Powers Agreement for a period of January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2026. The joint powers agreement shall automatically renew for additional period of 5 years, beginning January 2027. Of Pine County under the Joint Powers Agreement. It's $280 a day currently as a member, $330 for a non-member. That is going to the advisory board on Thursday. Will change a little bit for members to $285. So it's an additional $60 onto that $200 commitment. And then for non-members, it'll go from $330 to $340. The actual cost to run the facility is $310 a day. So, and as I think you recall, the way that the counties are billed is going to be different. It's not going to be that balloon payment at the end of the year. It's going to be an equal amount for 12 months, and then you only pay if you're over that amount that you contracted for. So the request would be for Pine County to remain. There is an area in the contract and the joint powers agreement that does allow Pine County prior to the 5 years to get out entirely. If the trend still was downward where we weren't using that facility, we could come back and make a presentation about getting out entirely. Notice. So, thank you. Any questions?
The daily rate, is that adjustable every year, or is that going to stay for the 5-year contract?
It's adjustable every year.
That's what I thought.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Terry, I sat in on an AMC probation training. And one of the things that they said that really hit me is that the Justice Investment Group has showed that the Minnesota incarcerated is the 4th from the lowest, but our probation is 4th from the highest. So you guys do an amazing job at what you do, and I just wanted to say thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, that justice reinvestment and that other committee that I'm on with Commissioner of Correction. I mean, it's really everything that Minnesota has done and continues to do. Talks about the importance of remaining in the community. Whether that's our work in the juveniles through Project Rise and Evening Reporting Center, those are attempts to keep people in the community that don't need to be incarcerated. There's some people that need to be incarcerated, and we need to have facilities in place for those events.
Anybody else have any questions, comments? Yes.
So Terry, there's two counties that have come into the powers, and they've each come in at 1 bed each. You know, in the total allocation, were some of the counties that were existing partners, did they drop down? So the total bed allocation, it was under the existing one?
The answer to your first part of your question is yes. I know for Kennebec dropped from 1 to a half. Sherburne dropped from 2 to 1. And those are the main ones. I'm not sure on the other ones. I'd have to look, but yeah. So I'm not sure what the final math on that was. The divisor they use is 31 kids. That's what they do that math. I know about a month ago it appeared to me that they're going to be below. I think that 24 was the number we had before, and at one point I did the math, it was about 20 and a half. Benton and Stearns coming in, I think they may have helped.
So I guess my point is, I think there's still a little bit of risk that there's some beds on the open market versus among the partnership in order to keep the costs where we would want them to be.
Correct, but I will say this, selling it on the open market, at least in the last few years, hasn't been an issue. Again, I should mention that the facilities overall, facilities for juveniles continue to dwindle. There's not many of them, maybe 4, statewide, Bemidji. And I've said this before, but I think it's worth saying, in Washington County contracts for 5 beds. Washington County doesn't need 5 beds. They have their own facility. They remain in this outfit because they know the value of it to the overall landscape of juvenile correction.
Anybody else? If not, we'd be looking for a motion to enter.
Ludwig will move.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Ludwig, seconded by Moore. Is there any discussion?
Just a comment, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, I think proximity to our county is another big asset to that facility. So we don't have so much transportation involved with moving back and forth. It's a nice location. And I think it's something we can monitor. Like Terry said, we can look at this every year and look at our trends. If some of our other programs start to kick in, I think we can. I just say we have to monitor it every year.
This kid that went this weekend is probably not going to be there for 2 or 3 days. He might be there for 3 or 4 months.
Correct.
And before things move, right?
Correct.
So I think that's what you've been looking at the whole time is what if this happened? Well, what if happens? It does, unfortunately, no matter what we do, we still have the what ifs. And put a kid in a car and haul them to Bemidji if they have a site. And then what happens if there isn't a site in Minnesota? You have to go to Oklahoma. Don't we have a kid in Oklahoma under some other program? Didn't we?
Yeah, I don't know if they're still there.
They were at one time.
May still be.
Yeah, but I mean, it's true. And like I said, Itasca County used to have one. They don't have it anymore. They have to go up to Beltrami as well. And it becomes an issue for deputies, for the sheriff's department, and overall for the county budget, because if you're not trying to control the cost now, you're going to get some costs later, and you're going to get deputies driving across the state at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then sometimes those kids get released a few days later, and then it becomes a transportation issue where it involves probation that maybe have to help transport, and it's not cost effective.
Right. Okay, any other comments? We got a motion and a second. Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 3, Commissioner Lofgren, District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. We'll move on to the Sandstone Recycling Drop-Off Center. We've got a consideration of a memorandum of agreement with the city of Sandstone to continue the use of the property at 145 Robin Street through the end of December 2024. Anybody got anything you want to say something, Caleb?
Not necessarily. That's basically it. It's been going pretty well as far as we can tell, working there. The city has been pleased with it, so they've kind of consented to allow us to continue. Basically no cash, there's no fee for us to use the property. They see it as a service to their residents and it's working.
Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Sheriff, I can.
Yeah.
Hey, Caleb, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, what really have you seen a big increase since the Finlayson one now is no longer there? Or is it hard to tell you? Is it too soon to tell? Probably, right?
It hasn't been as big as we expected. We brought a lot more containers there in anticipation, but we might have lost some participants. And there was also just a lot of garbage in Finlayson that isn't coming now. But I think we're going to continue this winter. We'll try to do a little more outreach to kind of in that Finlayson community, so those folks know that they have that opportunity.
Hey, great. Thank you, Caleb.
So we need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
A motion by Lovegren, seconded by Moore to sign the agreement with the city of Sandstone for the recycling drop-off center. Any discussion? If not, Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig. District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the Kettle River, Upper St. Croix, One Watershed, One Plan Policy Committee appointment. Matt, maybe you can explain that, or Kelly, or Caleb, can I explain it? But I think what's happening is the same thing that happened with Lower St. Croix. You go through you get it. I was appointed to be the county rep in the planning phase, and now we're moving to the organizational phase. So we need to officially appoint somebody.
I think, Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
I think you appointed me, if you're on the Kettle River one, when that does happen for the One Watershed, One Plan, a couple of meetings back, or it was in a discussion, I think. And I think he's just looking at an alternate for me, just in case something comes up.
Commissioner Ludwig is correct. So he was appointed back in May as the primary. And so we are just looking for an alternate so that in case, it looks like they're going to get going, doing actual work starting in November. And so just in case Matt can't make a meeting, we wanted to give you the opportunity to have an alternate to ensure we have representation.
JJ, can you be the alternate?
Yes, I can.
Then we'd need a motion to affirm Ludwig's appointment and appoint JJ as the alternate.
I'll move that.
Motion by Moore,
A second.
second by Lovegren. Is there any discussion? If not, Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren. District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, who seconded that motion?
Lovegren.
All right, thank you.
And Solid Waste Ordinance Ad Hoc Committee. Consider the appointment of the ad hoc committee to review the Pine County Solid Waste Ordinance and make some recommendations. So you can see the list there. Myself, Ludwig, Dirk Nelson from the zoning board, Kathy George from the city, Terry O'Rourke from Nickerson Township, Heidi Cronin from the MPCA, and Terry Peterson from All Season Service representing the industry. We're looking for a motion for
I
that.
will make a motion. Solid waste.
Terry, I can't hear you.
Oh, I made a motion to accept the solid waste ordinance. Sorry.
Well, to accept the committee.
For the committee, yes.
Yep.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Lovegren, seconded by Moore. Make the appointments to that committee. Any discussion? You're on, Debbie.
District 1,
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren. District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
Thank you.
2022 vehicle purchases. Consider authorizing the ordering of 2022 vehicles starting in 2021. And David, you want to give a little background on this?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we have the preliminary levy adopted based on a preliminary budget that includes $770,000 for vehicles. We know that there is a backlog of vehicle orders because of the chip shortage. And so I'm just wondering if you're relatively comfortable with the amount of money identified in the preliminary budget for vehicles, if you would consider authorizing those purchases or those orders to be made in 2021 so that we can try to get to the front of the line versus waiting until January, February, when most local governments will be in the process of ordering.
I will make that motion.
I will
Motion
second
by
it.
Moore,
That is.
Second.
second by Ludwig.
Yep. That's a smart move.
My question is, if we ordered them today, we could safely assume they're not going to get here until January. Correct?
I think we could probably make that assumption, but it,
If they showed up next week, we do have money we can pay for. We don't have to say, oh, sorry.
no, in practical terms, whether they arrive in November or December or January, February, we think that we can appropriately amend the 2021 budget if necessary to make it work. And at the end of the day, our goal is to acquire the vehicles needed for the county work in a timely fashion.
Thanks. Any other questions? Hearing none. Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren. District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to commissioner updates. Mille Lacs Band meeting. Terry, you want to take that?
They are moving ahead on the road project where the goal for the Mille Lacs Band is to get a interstate exchange coming to the exit and the Highway 48 exit in Hinckley, so that it's easier to get to what they're planning for the future in some other business activities that are going to be going on there. So that was exciting to hear that MnDOT's excited, that's willing to work with them on that. So that was a good thing. And we'll be getting more on that next month. And then they are also looking at incubation businesses and helping people to get their businesses going, which is starting to happen more in Mille Lacs, and it's going to be coming to Pine County more.
Thank you. Rush Line Task Force.
Dave, was that the one we were waiting to see if they could get me on the, I guess the express list for logging in and being on the meeting?
Yes, yeah.
Well, 'cause I still haven't seen anything on that.
All right.
They
NLX,
what-
NLX was canceled. How's HRA?
Yes, I'll start it, but I think I'm gonna defer to Dave on some of the structure part. We had our meeting on September 22nd, and Dave is like the director until, but they did get a chair and a vice chair elected to take over when that is gonna happen. There's mostly a structural meeting and discussion about what the board is going to be, an HRA board or an EDA or a combination. I think I'll have Dave speak to that. And then there was some discussion on banked beds. That's what my takeaway, and I didn't really understand what they are. But I think we can deal with that. Hopefully when I get back down there, we can have more discussion because I don't understand them completely. And then I think I'll let Dave take over the rest. Will you do that, Dave?
Sure. Thank you, Matt. And I think if we wanted a discussion about the banked beds, we need to get Leslie in the room because she is really the expert on that. And so I know there is an interest in working with Patrick Meekum and HHS to make use of that program, which would help Pine County. And beyond that, as Matt said, the board talked about some structural things. Their annual meeting is next month. And so they will elect a chair and a vice chair and a secretary at that meeting. And then I think continue conversation about what they think their role and their vision is. And we're anxiously waiting to hear back from the Minnesota Housing Partnership on our grant application, which includes some technical assistance for the HRA to go through a planning process.
Thank you. Arrowhead counties.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I did it. That was also on the 22nd of September. And it was a big meeting. and you some of you were at AMC, so you probably heard some of that. But John Ongaro gave a big legislative update on the $250 million the state has from the federal recovery dollars, and they were supposed to have some plan to spend that or how it's going to go out. And there's a committee, and I think 7 of the 9 were in agreement, but they need all 9 people to agree. And the deadline was Labor Day, and they didn't have an agreement. They were supposed to have an agreement by the Friday following our meeting. I don't know if that happened, so I don't know. But I did have a takeaway.
I can just interrupt real quick. That's the Legislative Commission on Hazard Pay for Frontline Workers.
Yes, that's what I'm going to. Their dollars can be spent on the frontline workers. So I don't know how that's going to affect our county. And then the other big part of the discussion was the Pilt Reform. And you guys probably heard that AMC has it on their platform. I think it's number 3. And just a little background there, like the DNR only assesses the value or the formula like every 6 years. Or like we or Kelly and we have to do it every 2 years at least, I think, and look at it every year. If that's right, Kelly, I'm not sure. But so there's a disproportionate impact on the value go up, over the course of 6 years tremendously, but we're not getting dollars that from the formula on that. Where I think in our county we get roughly $5, maybe $3 to $5, depends on the type. But there's other counties around the state that get $50 to $90 per acre. So there's a bunch of disparity in there and it doesn't make a lot of sense. So they're trying to figure, and I think I forwarded that study out to some of you a week or two ago. And then probably the other big item was the chronic wasting disease discussion that's happening at the state, which, you know, we've discussed at numerous meetings and how we feel about it and what that business is like for our county. But there is a push for counties to do or pass a resolution to ask the state to take action. I think the resolution is on something there and on the deer farms or movement of the deer. And I don't know where we sit as a board on that yet, but that's a push. The Aiken County, they discovered nickel in the Tamarack area, so they're going to have issues with mining. I thought that was going to be a huge impact to that county if it happens. And then it was, of course, we were talking about everybody's levy. Most of them are trying to get between 3% and 4%. They're not there. They're at 5 to 7%, but they want to get to 3 to 4%. So if you look at how we ended up, I think we're probably on par with the rest of the counties. And that's pretty much it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. It'll be interesting to watch
Yes.
Aiken County as they tackle some mining issues that they haven't really had to deal with for a long time. But we'll move on. GPS 4593 annual meeting. I was there. The highlight for me was here in Ben Winchester again. Very good, but Terry, maybe you want to.
One of the comments that Ben made that really brought reality to me is they say that the rural areas are dying and that people don't want to live in the rural areas. But he said that that's really not true, that what they're doing is they're extending the metro out. And so if there's more people living in a certain area in the metro, then they start calling that metro and it's not rural anymore. And so really people are moving into the rural areas. It's just that they're changing where the metro actually lies. So I thought that was pretty interesting to put it in that base. But yeah, it was good. It was
I think, you know, it's something we've said here for a while. We're not in the middle of nowhere. We're in the middle of everywhere. And so we live here because we want to, and because we like to live in the country. We like the amenities that we have being close to a metro area. Maybe some people don't ever want to go to the metro area and they don't have to. But he's a very interesting speaker, and I always enjoy him because he does a lot of research and he speaks with.
Mr. Chair.
Yes. Go ahead, Matt.
I forgot that in the Arrowhead County meeting, most of the counties in the roundtables it was a common theme of issues they're dealing with, and it was housing, broadband, which we all know, and then skilled labor, which we can't all know. And all the counties seem to be struggling with that, just as we seem to be at times. So.
Snake River Watershed.
Yeah, we did that meeting. Mostly what we talked about was how the board is gonna be formed going forward. And it sounds like everybody's on board with it. Modifying the joint powers agreement to become an entity, and it'll be a joint powers. So
everybody got to that point.
yeah, I think everybody was on that point. So we actually had 3 meetings. We had that one, and then we had a joint policy and management board, and then we had a policy after that. So But that was a consensus. We took a vote on it, and that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna work on, I think they're gonna send the county attorneys all what their joint powers agreement, and then we're figuring hopefully sometime early next year, get it finalized in a couple months. And then the policy, I can go into that. The policy committee was just a bunch of, technical stuff. That's what they mostly talked about. It was long, like 3 hours or something like that. So it was a lot of stuff.
So the Lower St. Croix Policy Committee, what it was last week was a tour of some projects, and there was virtual tours. And I happen to be non-virtually combining soybeans, so I thought I could get it on my phone and watch it, but I didn't work. So they do have the video link, and I've watched just enough to know that it's there. But they are doing a project in Pine County, just south of Pine City, on the Hinsey Farm around the Rock Lake, which happens to be where I was combining, so that worked out pretty good. Blandon Foundation kickoff meeting. Terry, I think you went to that.
I did. What they're asking is that we have more people involved with this next phase, this next step that we're going to be doing, and it's going to be more community projects. And I believe it's a $1,000 grant that's up for this one. So Leslie had written a really good email to the schools and sent it out to all the school representatives asking for people to come and join us. I'm not sure if she sent it to the each city also, to get their community involved, but we're working on getting more people to represent this. So the other day I sent out an email to all of the cities and township clerks and administrators, asking them if they could have people be part of this committee also, because we need, if we're going to be able to support the committees and do the things that they need, the projects that they need and that will benefit them, we need to have more input on what there is to do. So with that, and with the need of having more people, I did a bridging divide meeting, and then also practicing inclusive engagement, which is trying to get people to be involved in what we're doing and what we need help so that we can achieve our goals. So it'll be interesting to see, get some more people to step up and be part of that. It sounded like the more people that you have, the better representation you're going to have to get the projects done that Blandon is asking for. And with this one, our goal is to get internet to all of to all of our people. That's our goal. But some of these, it's to teach the elderly how to use the internet, or how to teach younger people how to balance their checkbooks. I mean, there's so many different things that are out there that different communities are doing that's important to them. So it'll be interesting to see what they say with that. And on that note, if you guys look at the upcoming meetings for number C, or for letter C, tomorrow at 3 o'clock at the Bram Event Center is the broadband. So that's the kickoff. Yeah. It is boring.
Lakes and Pines had our annual meeting last Friday. I can't think of a worse time to have a meeting at 3:30 on Friday, but that's when it was. The annual meeting generally is a meeting where they can showcase they usually have a couple hundred people that they invite in, past board members, community members. They give out some awards and talk about projects that have been happening, but because of COVID resurgence, they did away with the meal part and just had the board and the recipients of the awards show up. And then they also did it virtually. So it was instead of a 3-hour meal event, it was about a 45-minute hand out awards. And we did take care of some business. We passed a motion there for the thing that Lakes and Pines is going to do for housing for Pine County. So we can move forward or they can move forward on that. But anyway, times things are different.
Mhm.
And then under other, I was informed that there was a family that received the Tree Farmer of the Year award for the state of Minnesota. That happened to be at the same time the Blandon Foundation kickoff meeting was. So I knew Terry was going there. So I went to the Laurie family farm, where they have since 1974 been engaged with the forester and the DNR and private foresters to do a wonderful job of apparently better than anybody else in the state for this year, because they were Tree Farmer of the Year. I have them looking up, because I think we should have that somewhere noted in this courthouse. I think that's the third Tree Farmer of the Year award that's been given to a Pine County tree farmer. I know Waldo Kick got it 25 years ago, and I believe there was one other one. But anyway, they're going to send that to us. But very interesting how they're thinning about 200 acres of oak and have planted pines, and they've done a wonderful job. So it was good. They had district foresters from Bemidji to southeast Minnesota. It's a big deal in that forestry industry, and shows the private public partnerships that need to take place to keep our forest industry alive and well. So I'm glad I went. Any other events?
I have a couple others.
Yes.
We had a meeting with LTD, which is one of the companies that won the huge RDOF for our area. What they were saying is, out of Pine County, when they start working on our area, when the money comes in, 7,015 locations will get broadband to the home. So that would be the business. What they want to do now is to work with the businesses, schools, cities, and townships, and see if they can get these places to help them and to help sponsor them, so that they can get some more. They want some financial support, obviously, but they want to start working in more areas other than what they won with LTD. So that was one of them. It was a little bit more informative than the one that we had the last time with them, which was good. I also did the Bridging Divide with Dave. Have you ever gone to a David Bartholomew? He is a good speaker, but they were talking about people with school. There was somebody from a school board, and then the county or a city mayor, and how you get people active in your areas. How to listen and learn, I think, was a big part of it, that we need to take the time to listen to what people want and to learn from them instead of just being on our own mission. So that was really good. And then yesterday I sat in on the AMC for probation. And I just, once again, Terry, it's an eye opener how much your department does and how many people you truly help with probation. You know, we were talking about how 4% of the people are incarcerated versus 4%, you know, being the lowest for incarcerated, but being the highest on probation, 4% from the highest. And the good works that they do. And they talked about the 3 different kinds of probation that you can be on. Is it James Anderson? Jason? Yeah, he was there, and he was very good. And he just listened to him and listened to them talk about the differences in the costs. I'm glad for what we do. I'm glad. It was very informative, but just once again, thank you.
Just one other thing I've noticed, Midco is building out to some housing developments in Rock Creek. And to get the scope of what it would take to build out the whole county, if you get a chance, drive south of town, right across from the high school is where they've yarded their supplies and equipment. There appears to be enough there to plow fiber to every home in Pine County, and that's only going to do 2 little housing developments in Rock Creek. So the mass of stuff that needs to be assembled to build out to 1,000 homes or 2,000 homes is astronomical.
Is that, aren't they also doing a little bit in Chingwatana?
Yep, northeast corner of Cross Lake. Supposedly, they're gonna get this all done this fall. It's October 5th. We know what happens sometime around
Yeah.
Thanksgiving time. The ground gets pretty stiff around here, so. But they've been scooting down Highway 61 quite well. Upcoming meetings, we got the entire alphabet almost, so there's plenty to do between now and the end of the month, between now and next meeting. Any other business that needs to come before the board?
If I could just
Yes.
make a couple of points on the upcoming meetings, next Wednesday is the tribal forum up in Carlton.
Yes.
And Thursday is the District 1 AMC meeting. And so that's where there's voting on the priorities that came out of the policy conference. So if you can make it, that's a good meeting to be at. And then Steve, you had talked about Lakes and Pines approving the agreement with Pine County. Those applications now are live on the website on the economic development page. And so if you know somebody who is a single family owner who wants to do a rehab, a business owner who wants to do a rehab, or a rental owner and wants to do a rehab, those three programs are all live now and information is on the county economic development webpage.
Good, thanks.
On that meeting, on the District 1 meeting, I'd gotten the thing from the Health and Human Services from SHAC as to what was important or the things that they're taking for the policy committees to vote on. So I sent that to Becky and asked for her opinion and just her insight on those so that we would have a better idea of what we're doing. When I get that response, I'll send it to David, and David, if you want to ship it off to everybody else so that everybody else can see, and then we'll have a better idea what we're voting on when it comes to that.
Mr. Chair, could I ask you just one question? This is Eileen.
Yeah.
Ms. Gussie. Yeah, one of the recent things that we ran into in the township level was infrastructure that's remaining in the ground from things like lines being run for communication. I guess I just never realized what a trash heap we have in our ditches when it comes to lines being run, because once they try to clean out one of those ditches and they find a line, I mean, there's no way to get rid of it. Do we have any kind of policy at the county level that requires permitting and removal of that line once it's become abandoned?
No, we do not. And I don't believe there's, I'll have Caleb check, but it's something that people have talked about. It's one of those things that we've talked about for 20 years probably, and just keep putting stuff in the ground. But we're not very good at taking stuff out of the ground or requiring people, because it gets abandoned so slow. There's still telephone lines that are still being used, copper pairs, so they can't tear that out because they're still using it, and they're putting fiber alongside of it or on the other side of the road. I know we have county ditches that are so full that they are now moving to townships to avoid conflicts with other stuff that's in the ditch. But it's something probably we need to raise the bar at AMC or something and see what other people are doing, because it's a major league problem when contractors go to do something and then they hit a line and it's like, well, what's this for? It wasn't marked. Maybe it's abandoned. Wait till somebody shows up. It's a way, not a good way to do things, but.
Is that something that the county could do a policy on?
I don't know. That's what we'll have to raise the bar at AMC to see if there are some models somewhere. Thank you. Thanks for the question, Gussie. I know what you're saying. No other business before the board. We'll declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Yep. Enjoy, JJ.